Freud's theory of personality, iceberg diagram, the metaphor. The mind is like an iceberg, only a small part is visible, conscious, while the vast majority is hidden, unconscious. Levels of consciousness. Conscious is the tip, what you are aware of right now. Preconscious, just below, memory/information that can be easily recalled. Unconscious, deep below, repressed memories, forbidden desires, and primitive drives. Structure of personality, ID, unconscious. Pleasure principle, wants immediate gratification, primitive. Superego, unconscious/preconscious. Morality principle, your conscience learned from parents/society. Ego, all levels. Reality principle mediates between the ID and superego. The id. 2. Freud's theory of psychosexual development. Core idea. Personality is shaped by childhood experiences and how sexual energy, libido, is focused on different body parts. Aeronagus zones. Stages. Old age people love grandchildren. That's just like a thing to remember. Oral, 0 to 1 year. Mouth feeding. Fixation, smoking, overeating, sarcasm. Anal, 1 to 3 years. Anus, toilet training, fixation. Anal, retentive, neat/obsessive, or anal expulsive, messy/defiant. Phallic, 3 to 6 years. Genitals, opedious, boys. Electra, girls. Complex, desire for opposite sex parent. Latency, 6 to puberty. Dormant sexuality, focus on school, friends, hobbies. Genital, puberty plus, mature sexual relationships. Fixation, getting stuck in a stage due to under/over gratification, affecting adult personality. 3. Eriksson's psychosocial theory, 8 stages. Core idea, development happens across the lifespan. At each stage, we face a social conflict, crisis. Key stages. Trust versus mistrust, 0 to 1.5. Dependent on caregivers, consistent care equals trust. Autonomy versus shame/doubt, 1.5 to 3. Toddlers learn to control themselves, potty train/independence. Success equals confidence. Initiative versus guilt. Preschoolers start planning, playing, and making decisions. If discouraged, equals guilt. Industry, and that's 3 to 5. Industry versus inferiority, 5 to 12. School age kids complete, learn, and compare skills with peers. Success equals competence. Identity versus role confusion, 12 to 18. Adolescents explore who am I and future goals. Success equals strong sense of self. Intimacy versus isolation, 18 to 40. Young adults seek or fail to find deep, committed relationships. Generatively versus stagnation, 40 to 65. Middle adulthood focuses on giving back. Kids, work, community. Failure equals feeling stuck. Integrity versus despair, 65 plus. Seniors reflect on life. Contentment equals integrity. Regret equals despair. 4. Piaget's cognitive development theory. Core idea, children are little scientists who actively build their understanding of the world through 4 distinct stages. Sensory motor, 0 to 2. Senses and motor actions. Goal, object permanence, knowing items exist unseen. Pre-operational, 2 to 7. Symbolic through thought/language, but egocentric, cannot see other viewpoints. Concrete operational, 7 to 11. Logical thinking about concrete events, understands conservation, volume/amount stays the same. Formal operational, 12 plus. Abstract reasoning and hypothetical thinking. Key terms, assimilation, fitting new info into old schemas, and accommodation, changing schemas for new info. 5. Vygotsky's socio-cultural cognitive theory. Core idea, learning is a social process driven by culture and interaction with more knowledgeable others. Zone of proximal development, ZPD, the sweet spot of learning, tasks a child can do with help but not yet alone. Scaffolding, temporary support given to a learner to help them master a task, then slowly removed. Private speech, children talk to themselves to guide their own thinking and behavior. 6. Pavlov's classical conditioning, core idea, learning through association, a neutral stimulus becomes paired with a natural reflex. Components, unconditioned stimulus, US, food, causes automatic reaction. Unconditioned response, UR, salvation, natural reaction. Neutral stimulus, NS, Bell, initially does nothing. Conditioned stimulus, CS, Bell, after being paired with food. Conditioned response, CR, salvation, learned reaction to the bell. Key concept, extinction, CR disappears if CS is no longer paired with US. 7. Skinner's operant conditioning, core idea, learning voluntary behavior through consequences, rewards/punishments, types, the 4 quadrants of behavior. So positive reinforcement, the action is adding something pleasant. Goal is to increase behavior. Example, getting a sticker or praise for a high test mark. Negative reinforcement, the action is removing something unpleasant. The goal is to increase behavior. Putting on a seatbelt to stop the annoying beeping sound. Positive punishment, add something unpleasant. Goal is to decrease behavior. So example, receiving extra chores or scolding for breaking a rule. Negative punishment, action, removing something pleasant. Result or goal, decrease behavior. Example, getting your phone taken away for staying out past curfew. Key concepts for high marks. The Skinner box, the operant conditioning chamber where Skinner used rats/pigeons to prove that animals would repeat actions like pressing a lever if they received a reward, food. Shaping, reinforcing successive approximations, small steps toward a final goal behavior. You don't wait for the perfect behavior. You reward the student for getting closer and closer. Extinction, when a behavior stops because it is no longer being reinforced. If the vending machine stops giving snacks, you eventually stop putting money in. 4 schedules of reinforcements, the how often. Continuous, reinforce every time, best for learning a new skill quickly. Fixed ratio, reinforce after a set number of times. Example, buy 10, get 1 free card. Variable ratio, reinforce after an unpredictable number of times. Example, a slot machine. This is the strongest and hardest to stop. Fixed interval, reinforce after a set amount of times. Example, a weekly paycheck. Variable interval, reinforce after an unpredictable amount of times. Example, checking for a like on social media. Watson, Little Albert experiment. The core concept, classical conditioning. Definition, learning through association, pairing a neutral stimulus with an unconditioned stimulus to create a new conditioned response. Goal, to prove that emotional responses, especially fear, can be learned in humans just like Pavlov's dogs. Key players and subjects, researcher John B. Watson, founder of behaviorism, and his assistant Rosalie Rayner. Subject, Little Albert, a 9-month-old infant. Location, Johns Hopkins University, 1920. The experiment breakdown, classical conditioning terms. Neutral stimulus, NS, the white rat. Initially, Albert liked it and had no fear. Unconditioned stimulus, UCS, the loud noise, striking a steel bar with a hammer. 3. Unconditioned response, UCR, fear/crying, natural reaction to the noise. 4. Conditioned stimulus, CS, the white rat after being paired with the noise. 5. Conditioned response, CR, fear/crying, now caused by the rat alone. Procedure. When Albert touched the rat, NS, Watson made a loud noise, UCS. They repeated this until the rat alone, CS, caused fear, CR. Key findings and concepts, stimulus generalization. Albert feared not just the white rat, but other similar furry white objects, including a rabbit, a dog, a fur coat, cotton wool, and a Santa Claus mask. Lasting impact. The experiment suggested that phobias and emotional responses can be learned and persist over time. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The 5 levels, bottom to top. 1. Psychological needs, survival, the absolute basics required for human life. Example, food, water, shelter, sleep, breathing, warmth. If unmet, the body cannot function and the mind cannot focus on anything else. 2. Safety needs, security, needs for order, stability, and control in life. Examples, personal security, financial security, job/money, health and well-being, safety from accident/injury. If unmet, anxiety and fear dominate daily life. 3. Love and belonging needs, social, the human need for interpersonal connection. Example, friendships, family, intimacy, trust, acceptance, being part of a group. If unmet, loneliness, social anxiety, and depression can occur. 4. Esteem needs, respect, the desire for self-worth, accomplishment, and respect. Lower level, respect from others, status, fame, recognition, attention. Higher level, self-respect, confidence, competence, mastery, independence. If unmet, feelings of inferiority and helplessness. 5. Self-actualization needs, growth, reaching one's full potential and becoming the best version of oneself. Example, pursuing talent, creativity, moral purpose, seeking personal growth. Note, this is a growth need rather than a deficiency need. Key test takeaways. Hierarchy of prepotency, lower needs have higher priority. If you are starving, level 1, you cannot care about your self-esteem, level 4. Deficiency versus growth, levels 1 to 4 are deficiency needs. You feel them when you lack them. Level 5 is a growth need, driven by the desire to improve. Flexibility. While hierarchical, Maslow noted that a need does not need to be 100% satisfied before the next level emerges. It's more of a decreasing percentage of satisfaction as you go up. Application in education/life. A student cannot focus on learning, self-actualization, if they are hungry, physiological, or afraid. Safety. Criticism. The theory is criticized for having a Western individualistic bias and not accounting for cultural differences. Part B, identification. Freud's iceberg model, graphical model. The analogy, the mind is like an iceberg. Only a small part is visible, conscious, while the majority is hidden, unconscious. Conscious, tip above water, what you are thinking about right now. Preconscious, just below water, memories and knowledge not currently conscious but easily recalled. Example, your phone number. Unconscious, deep below water, largest part. Primitive drives, aggressive urges, and repressed traumatic memories. Core concept, the unconscious drives behavior without our knowledge. 2. Conditioning, behaviorism. Goal, behaviorists focus on observable behavior rather than internal thoughts. Pavlov, classical conditioning, learning through association. Example, a dog learns to salivate, conditioned response when a bell rings, conditioned stimulus because it was paired with food. Watson, human conditioning, proven emotions can be learned via classical conditioning. Example, little Albert learned to fear a white rat stimulus after it was paired with a loud, scary noise. Skinner, operant conditioning, learning through consequence, reward/punishment. Example, a rat presses a lever to get food, positive reinforcement. 3. Developmental stages, scenarios. Piaget, cognitive, how children think. Sensory motor, 0 to 2, explores with senses, learns object permanence, knowing things exist even when hidden. Preoperational, 2 to 7, using symbols/language, but is egocentric, cannot see other viewpoints. Freud, psychosexual, pleasure focuses on different body parts, oral, anal, phallic, latency, genital. Erickson, psychosocial, social conflicts that build personality over a lifetime. Trust versus mistrust, 0 to 1. Reliability of care. Identity versus role confusion. Adolescence, figuring out who am I. Part C, short answers. Freud, ID, ego, superego, structure of personality. ID, unconscious, the devil on the shoulder, driven by the pleasure principle. Wants instant gratification, selfish, aggressive. Superego, unconscious/conscious, the angel on the shoulder, driven by morality, conscience, and societal rules. Ego, mainly conscious, the mediator, driven by the reality principle, balances the unrealistic demands of the id and superego. Example, a hungry person, id, wants to steal food, but the ego finds a restaurant to buy food, satisfying the superego's rule not to steal. 2. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Concept, humans are motivated to satisfy needs in a specific order. Pyramid, levels bottom to top. Physiological, food, water, shelter. Safety, security, stability. Love/belonging, friends, family, intimacy. Esteem, respect, self-esteem, status. Self-actualization, achieving one's full potential. Vygotsky, social development theory. Cognitive development is social, not individual. Zone of proximal development, ZBD. The gap between what a learner can do alone and what they can do with help. Scaffolding, temporary support given by a teacher/parent to help a child master a task within their ZBD. Part D, long answers. Theory expansion. Erickson psychosocial theory. Development occurs across the entire lifespan in 8 stages, unlike fruit. Core idea, each stage presents a conflict, example, trust versus mistrust, that must be resolved to develop a healthy, confident personality. Impact, if not resolved, it creates future problems in identity or relationships. 2. Pygott's cognitive development theory. Intelligence changes as children grow. They are little scientists building knowledge. Key concepts: assimilation, fitting new info into existing ideas, and accommodation, changing old ideas to fit new info. Development: children move through 4 stages: sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, formal operational, based on age. 3. Freud's psychosexual theory. Personality set by age 5 to 6. Core idea: libido, sexual energy, focuses on different erogenous zones, or oral, anal, phallic. Fixation: if a child is overindulged or deprived during a stage, they get stuck, fixated, and show that behavior as an adult. Example, smoking / nail biting from oral stage. And that's all.